Welcome to Satsunami. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Satsunami. I'm Satsunami and joining me today is none other than the hero of time himself. It is the one and only Andrew. Andrew, welcome to Satsunami.
It's dangerous to go alone. Record this. God, I wish I hadn't said that.
Too late. I'm the editor. I get to keep it.
Yeah!
Oh, and that is another clip fix that I'm going to have to put through. I just see the audio waves come up and I see the spike and I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus, what happened there? But yeah, how are you doing today, Andrew?
I'm good, thank you. I finally get to talk about a topic that I've been banging on your door to talk about for the last how many years? I think prior to the podcast even existing, I was like, when are we going to get to the Zelda episode?
Funny enough, you say banging on the door, but it's more like you standing outside my window and all you hear is just ominous ocarina music.
I'm trying to open the secret passageway into your heart.
Yeah, it's just like fire and flames, but just on an ocarina.
I'm doing some sick-ass licks on my ocarina.
No. It's just the thought of you just licking the ocarina.
No, that's not what that means.
What does it mean? How can you get a lick on an ocarina? Okay, sorry. Let's just cancel what we're going to talk about for the rest of this episode. This is going to be the main focus. Can you lick an ocarina?
And why should you?
And why should you? Top 10 reasons why you should lick an ocarina. Number 1. You don't. But anyway, sorry, side tangents aside, yeah, as you alluded to there, Andrew, today we're going to be talking about I was going to make the joke and be like, oh, an indie franchise, but jokes aside, this is a very prolific franchise, that of course being the Legend of Zelda, which has been going on maybe not as long as Mario, but see, to be honest, not far off really. And of course, Adam and I, being the plebeians that we are not really as into Zelda, but of course you are. So that is why we have recruited you to, basically take us through the world of Zelda, talk about it. But before we go into that, before we get into the real Hyrulean meat of this episode, how did you get into this franchise to begin with?
Well, I've been linked with this franchise for a long time through my brother, who was a big fan of the N64 games, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And so my first experience with the game was both of those games, more so Ocarina of Time, which I did not know how to play properly, but was obsessed with. I thought it was so interesting, so cool. And then later on, my brother got a GameCube and Wind Waker. And that was kind of the first real instance of a game that I could sort of get my hands on, could play, understood how to play, and went right the way through the game. Absolutely loved that. And so from that point on, I went through and played each of the mainline Zelda games. I didn't really play any of the handheld games, but each of the main Zelda games I went through and then went back and played the originals as well. So I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and I'm always sort of looking forward to the next game coming up, which should be, if all goes to plan, spring of 2023.
Fingers crossed for that, and fingers crossed they don't delay it or be like, haha, joke's on you. You thought you were going to get Breath of the Wild 2. No, you're going to get Zelda CDI 2, or 3 is it, or 4, I don't know, there's too many to count. But I mean, that's interesting you saying that it was like your brother that got you into it and everything, because I have to admit, although I was into gaming in my own right, I never really got into this franchise. And it's not so much that, I saw Zelda and I retched at the name. I was like, oh, I don't want to play as Link or anything. It wasn't really anything to do with that. It was more because when I was playing the N64, obviously I was playing things like Mario and Banjo-Kazooie and Pokemon Stadium, of course, things like that. I was about to say Sonic, but we're too far back in the timeline for that. But I was playing games like that, and it wasn't until I want to say I got a GameCube that I actually played Wind Waker. And I think that was probably my first proper experience with Zelda, which is really weird to think about, because you and I, when we both went to university together, we actually played through the entirety of Wind Waker. Well, sorry, let me backtrack. When I say we, I mean you played through the entirety of Wind Waker, and I cheered you on from the background.
Yeah, it was really our first incarnation of our Let's Play series, but there was no one watching, no one recording.
I was going to say, except for the odd flatmate who would wander in and then just wander back out again when they saw what we were doing. It was yeah.
Like and subscribe, and then just slowly backing out of the room.
What do you mean?
What am I supposed to subscribe to?
That was the birth of our newsletter we just posted through the door. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, other than that, the next game I think I got was Ocarina of Time, but not for the N64. This is how bad I was. I got the remake for the 3DS. I tried playing it. Again, I wasn't getting into it. And it's the same with Breath of the Wild. I tried getting into that, just really couldn't. And it's not because these games are bad by any means, because the games have a really rich, deep lore and everything. They've got a lot of world building. They've got a lot of really memorable characters. It's a very well fleshed out gaming world, and I can see why people are fans of this particular series, but I don't know, and again this is a whole discussion for another day, but I don't know whether it was because I didn't grow up with Zelda, so I didn't have the same attachment, and when I kind of put it down, I thought, okay, this is one of those games that I tried, I played, I wasn't a huge fan of it. So now that I've riled up 90% of the Legend of Zelda fans listening to this podcast, because I know that'll probably boost listens, because controversy sells, ladies and gentlemen. Controversy does sell. But jokes aside, as we were talking about earlier, today we are going to be talking about what it would actually be like to live in the world of Legend of Zelda. And I know, you've got Hyrule, you've got all the other places.
Nice one, bud.
I was going to say the boat. You've got the, what do you call it? The mountain with the rock people.
Death Mountain.
Well, Death Mountain as well, yeah. But you know what? See, without any further ado, will we just jump into it? Because as I said before, this is why you're here. I am going to be the tourist of this episode. I am going to put on my handy-dandy backpack, maybe put a couple of masks on there, and hopefully not meet with a terrible fate, as it were. See, I can reference Zelda, Andrew.
Very good. Very good.
Do I get a star now?
You get 1 red rupee.
How much is that in nowadays currency? Because the economy's not doing too well in gaming land.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the equivalent to UK currency right now. I know it's a bit volatile. I think the rupee is probably a safer bet, and that would be the Zelda rupee, not the Indian rupee.
Sorry, for legal reasons, in case you thought we were talking about that. Yeah, I'm a fool. I invested all my money into the Sonic Rings market, so fingers crossed that booms.
There was a hole in that plan.
And my wallet. So without any further ado, as I save up all my rupees and we get ready to go to the fair land of Hyrule, will we take a short break and listen to some messages?
I think so.
As I said before, we will be right back after these messages.
I should have opened with, hey, listen. Edit that in.
Welcome to Satsunami, a variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interests.
Previously on Chatsunami, we've analysed what makes a good horror game, conducted a retrospective on Pierce Brosnan's run as James Bond, and listened to us take deep dives into both the Sonic and Halo franchises.
Also, if you're an anime fan, then don't forget to check us out on our sub-series, Chatsunani, where we dive into the world of anime. So far, we've reviewed things like Death Note, Princess Mononoke, and the hit Beyblade series.
If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcast apps.
As always, stay safe,
stay awesome, and most importantly,
stay hydrated.
Hello, and welcome to the What Is podcast. My name's Tom.
I'm Abby.
My name's Max. And welcome.
We talk about all things from Dungeons and Dragons to ASMR. We release episodes every Thursday on all your favourite streaming platforms, so make sure you check us out. Peace out, boys.
This episode is sponsored by Zencastr. If you're a podcaster that records remotely like me, then you'll know how challenging it can be to create the podcast you've always wanted. That's where Zencastr comes in. Before I met Zencastr, I was but a naive podcaster, recording on low quality, one-track audio waves. But with Zencastr, you can kiss those fears goodbye as they provide crystal clear audio and HD video. Plus, with their all-in-one podcasting suite, recording with guests is extremely simple. From local recordings to post-production, Zencastr has it all. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code Satsunami. You'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Okay. So here I am, Andrew. Here I am, standing in the vast plains of Hyrule.
Paint a picture for me.
I am standing upon the luscious green grass right in front of me. I'm pretty sure a skeleton just ran by me. I could be wrong. Maybe it was a day skeleton. What can I expect? Because long-time listeners of Chatsunami will probably know that we did a very similar episode to this, where last time Adam and I discussed what it would be like to live in the Pokemon world. So as long as I don't have to milk an Oddish or beat up any children or anything, I hopefully should be good in Hyrule.
No guarantees about the latter.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so let's say I get to Hyrule. Where do you think the best place to start off is?
Oh, well, I mean, it's obviously different from game to game, but if we're talking Ocarina of Time, we get into Hyrule Field, you're trying to get across into Hyrule Castle before nightfall, because you will get locked out. You probably want to you'll go into the town center and you'll just sort of interact with the village people who are just dancing around, because there's just literally nothing else to do other than just barter for goods and dance in the square. If you can handle the jovial town, then that's where you'll go first off.
Is this going to be my personal Wicker Man?
I mean, it's not that for sure. I mean, it's certainly not midsummery at times. But there's a bit more of a supernatural element to the fact that there are goblins and other monsters around.
So are goblins run-of-the-mill in Hyrule, or am I going to walk into the town centre and, see like a goblin doing its shopping, getting its milk and everything, and then I'm like, oh my god, a goblin! And then I just like punch it in the face, and then I'm like saying to the townsfolk, fear thee not, your saviour has arrived.
So the goblin equivalent, I'm saying goblin, it's like they're called bokoblins in the world of Zelda. They are like demon spawn of the Demon King. And so no, they wouldn't be going about their business shopping. You'd only find them out in just random sort of encampments. If you're looking at sort of Breath of the Wild, they kind of establish a bit more of a culture to them. They seem very kind of simplistic in nature. They're very kind of like Neanderthal-y. They kind of just huddle around fire and in little kind of like skull caves. They'll have like one sentry around that'll notify the others, and they'll kind of charge at you. By Breath of the Wild logic, there's like a hierarchy with different colors, and like the different colors sort of mean how difficult it is to defeat them. So there's certainly some sort of hierarchy, culture, community to the bokoblins, but they do not interact with the Hylians in Hyrule.
So they're not going to mess me up if like I'm just shopping in the middle of the town centre?
Not in the middle of the town centre, no. Everyone seems to be travelling all the time, and like in Breath of the Wild, you'll frequently come across some travelers who've been like ambushed by bokoblins and are being like beaten up. Sometimes if you watch them, you can watch them just defeat the bokoblins, and other times you'll watch them just like lying in a like fetal position on the ground as the bokoblins like dance around them, and you have to go beat them up. So like sometimes you can kind of just watch the carnage happen, and the bokoblins will be defeated themselves, and sometimes you're just like, do I help them today? Do I want that?
I have a question. You know that meme from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where it's the guy like drinking the wine and he sees his two friends like beating up the one guy and then he joins in? Can I do that with the bokoblins and just join in and be like, oof, guys, yeah, that was a tough battle, wasn't it?
In Breath of the Wild, you can purchase these different kind of outfits, and one of them you can get from like a monster salesman is like different masks of the different monsters. So you can buy a bokoblin mask, and then you can go like hang out with them, and they won't fight you. So in some ways, yes.
It's just the thought, because I'm in real life, to break the illusion, I'm a over 6 foot tall red panda. And the thought of me just with this tiny bokoblin mask, just standing above them, being like, "Whew, that was a hard day, wasn't it?" And they're like, "Yeah, it sure was, not Link."
Lonk.
I've always wondered that. Is identity fraud an issue in Hyrule?
It's an issue in it happens. There are certainly characters pretending to be other characters and then causing mischief. So yes, it is an issue in Hyrule.
No, it's just because, can you imagine if you went around and you kind of panicked and it's like, oh, what's your name? And you looked at the chain that, this is going to be very obscure, the chain that links the bridge up, and you're like, oh, my name is Link. Very subtle and clearly not a stretch of a jump here. But imagine you went around as Link, and then when Link is going away doing all his heroic acts, are there many Links? Is that a common name in Hyrule? Or
yes and no, because your hero is typically called Link. There is one game, I think it's Ocarina of Time, where you can change your character's name to whatever you want it to be. So you could change it to your own name or a random name or Link, and whatever your name is in the game, one of the characters will have a son. And if you meet that son in a time jump, you've sort of encountered him and he's got the same name as you. So that's quite a fun instance. And really, it's the only instance where you can come across another Link that isn't yourself. So, there seems to be some sort of lineage of Links across time that has to be the savior. So, you're really putting a lot of pressure on your child if you do call it Link.
It actually reminds me of, in Wind Waker, where is it your gran that you live with? In that
Yes.
one, and she gives you the hero of time outfit for some reason. As far as I remember, she doesn't know you're the hero of time, does she? Or
no, they seem to have some sort of weird explanation each time for why that outfit is given. In Skyward Sword, every knight of the sky gets given the same kind of tunic but a different color, and so each year is a different color, and it just so happens that the year you're getting it's the green one, and then the mayor of the town or wherever he is sort of exclaims oh, doesn't that just look great on you? I always thought green looked good on you. And you're like, oh, you sneaky bastard. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, so does that mean you can't wear the green tunic and everything? Imagine you rolled up to Hyrule Castle and then you saw Link, the real one, and you're both wearing the same thing, and you're just well, one of us has to go home and change. He's what is he going to do? He doesn't talk in the games. Is he going to argue back? No. So from the outset, you've got the upper hand there.
You have him there. You are going to bully this mute child, but you do you.
Hey, I've done worse in the Pokemon universe, okay? It's all downhill from here. So, you were talking earlier about getting in the castle before darkness falls, essentially. Before we get to Ganon and those creepy machines that crawl about in Breath of the Wild, what are the kind of bog standard things that we need to worry about, other than the bokoblins and me trying to infiltrate and beat up travellers with them? What... Other than me, I'm saying, what else should we be worried about in this universe?
Well, depending on the game, Ocarina of Time, as soon as night falls, you're going to encounter these essentially zombie bokoblins. I think they're called Stalnox. They kind of appear as soon as night falls. At other points in Ocarina of Time, you'll encounter werewolf-type creatures. I don't remember what they're called, but for all intents and purposes, they are werewolves. And so as soon as night falls, you're constantly just berated by these creatures. And the same in Breath of the Wild, you'll get sort of skeletal bokoblins attacking you. But the fun thing about those ones is if you defeat the skeletal bokoblins in Breath of the Wild, you can take their arms and then you can hit them back with their own arms and pick up their heads and kick their heads and stuff like that. So that at least gives you the upper hand where you decide hey, I'm gonna fuck you up today. Can
I just put for the record that you were giving me grief about bullying a mute child and you're kicking heads and taking dead bokoblins' arms?
They started it. They did
and
start
I'm gonna finish it.
You gotta get ahead of the competition.
Yeah, I bet you got a kick out of that.
I did.
Pun. Yeah, these are the high quality e-jokes we get.
They had a bone to pick with us.
So what you're saying is, don't travel at night because you will die.
Yeah, if you're not the hero of time, I would avoid nighttime travel for sure.
Sorry, that just has the energy of have 10 years experience in this job that's only been around for 2 years. It's unless you're the hero of time, you have the ocarina.
I know, job experience qualifications just are getting harder and harder for young graduates. They require you to have a master's degree, 3 years experience, and also be wielding the sword that defeats evil's bane. It's getting really tough for young people these days.
You're not wrong. The only way they can get these qualifications is by going into caves with old men and getting swords. Yes, I said that. So what? Yeah, the 80s was a different time for video games.
You wouldn't think twice about being asked to grab Deku Nuts then.
Was he like, sorry, this is completely off topic here, but from what I played of Ocarina of Time, I know there's a bit where you have to climb into the Deku Tree and you have to kill those horrible spider things, which are still terrifying.
How far did you get in the game? Because that is the very first thing you do in the game.
I got to Hyrule Castle and I think I met the princess.
Oh my god.
I know, and I smashed some pots, I know.
Oh well, I mean, you've got the game down there. Then I mean, that's what 90% of the game is.
Yeah, I've got the essentials down. Because that's another thing. So let's say I want to travel. So let's say I got to Hyrule Castle completely unscathed. Nothing shot me, kicked me, bullied me. Or anything, and I'm there and I'm like, right, I need to get some gear, but obviously to get equipment to travel, I need money.
Sure.
So how do I get money? Because I know there's the obvious ones. It's a bit like Mario and Sonic, you know, it's like, oh, they're just lying around or you have to punch things. And for Zelda in particular, there's the infamous joke where, you know, you smash pots to get money, you cut grass to get money.
Yeah, Link's profession really is a gardener. He does earn the majority of his cash just from cutting grass and finding coins in there. I don't know who's just leaving what appears to be like emeralds of some description, like just lying about in the grass. It's just like someone just wandering around, just like throwing coins in the air, like Mr. Burns in the hot air balloon.
I know, obviously, video game logic, and I'm not going to beat up the universe for that too much, but if you were living in this universe, can you imagine trying to take like a lawnmower to your garden and it just broke every time because you kept running over these thick rubies?
It would either be it broke immediately or you've destroyed like precious currency and you're like, oh, because imagine like going through like your lawn and just constantly shredding like 20-pound notes and you're just like, oh, damn it. Oh, I needed that for groceries this week.
But that's the thing, though. It's like you can't tell it's in the grass because it doesn't like pop up or anything until you cut it down.
Mhm.
So it's like you would be mowing over it and then you would know until it's too late. What kind of economy is this? How do people earn their money?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's video game logic, but like in Breath of the Wild, there are like walking salespeople going around and you can just sell them just like almost anything in your pockets. And like you can be carrying like 1,000 monster eyeballs and these people have to like buy them off of you. And so you could just be like absolutely rinsing their bank account because they are obliged to buy these just random objects from you. And so like by that logic, there's just an unlimited fund that the dealers of this world have. You could just be making just unlimited money just constantly in that game, at least. In later games, there seems to be a limit. At some point, you can't earn any more money. Like it says like your wallet's too full. And sometimes like you'll open a treasure chest and it'll be like 50 rupees. Oh, you can't take this right now because your wallet's full. Which, I mean, not to be anti-capitalist on main, but I mean, maybe a wallet limit is a good thing.
I mean, then again, it is very much a first world problem for Link in that case.
I have too much money.
Damn it! You'll just have to like get a bokoblin to carry all his money behind him. Like, come on, don't make me kill the rest of your family, because I will. What are the best weapons, essentially? Like, can we just rock into a shop then, not being the hero of time, and just be like, oh, I want that sword and shield? Because I know when you go into the game as Link, and you have to do the challenges, don't you?
In Ocarina of Time, you have to earn money to buy a shield from the store, and you have to like crawl into some random space in the forest to find this sword in a treasure chest. And that is how you get your initial weapons. You can't ever buy a sword, I don't think. Technically not true. You can buy a sword from the Gorons, which is called the Bigoron sword or the Goron dagger or something. It can then be, I think the Goron dagger can then be traded after a series of tasks to become the Bigoron sword, which is actually better than the Master Sword. But for the most part, the average person doesn't seem to be able to buy weapons. You just have to kind of like find them. In Breath of the Wild, they're kind of everywhere, or like you just take them from people that you kill. By people, I mean bokoblins and moblins and all those other monsters.
Just take their arms, as you said.
Yeah, their arms or their swords or their bats. There's just a whole variety of different weapons in the different games. But I mean, depends on the game. Like some of the games, you just have your one sword, your shield, and then like you can like pick up your various random items that are very useful for like that one temple that you're going through. But I mean, for your average Joe, who isn't just traversing temples. Like, they're not likely to find these items. So, like, where they get a bow and arrow from, who knows? Because apparently the only place you can get it from is just trying to defeat some ancient monster.
Yeah, but who decided that?
The sages?
They are dicks. Nobody, I know obviously it's different in Breath of the Wild and certain other games, but it's like for Ocarina of Time, you're pretty much screwed, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you've got fists, don't you? Fight with them. Do you think the sages think that everybody has like the same magical powers that they do?
Yeah, there's some privilege there for sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh, blast them with your magic, and it's like, excuse you? By what? Yeah, your magic. You know, you go, oh, you, and that's it, they're gone.
It's like those articles where it's like, this young person bought a house with this one trick, and the trick is like having parents who funded it.
Step 1 in how to buy a house. Buy the house.
Don't be poor.
Yeah, don't be poor, exactly. What are you, an anti-magic person? Yes, I am, because I have about as much magical fortitude as one of those, you know, those starter packs you get where it's like the plastic rod with the 2 white bits at the end, and it's like, oh yeah, look, abracadabra. Yeah, I don't think that's going to get me through Hyrule, I have to say.
Close-up magic isn't going to really do the trick.
Imagine going to Ganondorf, like, yeah, I know you're going to destroy the world, but is there your card?
Pulls a rabbit out of his Minish cap.
So who's going to die first, me or the rabbit?
Well, you say that. There's actually a trick you can do in a couple of the games. In Twilight Princess, when you're facing Ganondorf at the end, you can pull out a fishing rod to distract him.
Why?
He thinks of a better time when he was down by the lakeshore, down by Lake... what's it called? Lake Hylia, fishing for random Zelda salmon.
Is that the official term? Sorry.
Yeah, Zelda salmon. Everything's named after the princess. This is how it is. And so, yeah, so he's just reminiscing of a better time. And then in Skyward Sword, I didn't get this to work. I got the fishing rod one to work in Twilight Princess, but in Skyward Sword, there's supposedly, if you get out your bug net, then you can distract the Demon King, who is essentially what Ganondorf is. It kind of like embodies Ganondorf in later games, so it's supposed to be like the origin of him. But yeah, he gets distracted by a bug net, so I don't know what the deal with that is.
Yeah, because I've seen the parodies where it's I cannot remember the name of them, but the chickens.
Cuckoos.
Cuckoos, that's it, yeah, where they just like throw a cuckoo into the same room as Ganondorf, and they all just swarm him, and they just like absolutely beat him to death. And it's like, yay, I got the Triforce. Yeah, they're still going. Is that like actually a canon thing? Or because I know obviously in the games if you attack them one too many times they'll come and try to attack you. Is there a reason for that, or is it just a gameplay thing?
I think it's supposed to teach children not to hurt harmless animals.
Well, that too, but then again, Pokemon also came out in the 90s, so Nintendo, choose a lane.
Game Freak is in the name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I suppose. So they're not like gods in disguise or anything, like free range gods, no.
Not that we're aware of. I mean, they might well be, but yeah, no. If you are able to do it in Breath of the Wild, you can throw them into a like monster scenario, and if the monster hurts them enough, then the monster will be attacked by the swarm of cuckoos. There are certain instances where you can do that. You wouldn't be able to do that against Ganondorf.
So what you're saying is my best bet is just to get one of those cuckoos and just walk around Hyrule with it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to like create some sort of armor of these live cuckoos, just like strap them all together and just like wrap it around you, and then just if someone like hit you, then an army would just descend down whoever attacks you.
So basically what you're saying, there's Pacific Rim but with chickens strapped to me.
Yes. Sure.
It's like, okay, I'll be right back. I need to make a few phone calls. Particularly to the Red Panda lawyer to see if this is ethical and or legal to strap chickens to me and be like, haha, you can't hurt me. Local man arrested because he has chickens strapped to him. Anyway, jokes aside, to recap, I'm wearing the chickens as like boxing gloves, okay? Because not allowed to have weapons, so I can't cut the grass, I can't earn money, and I'm assuming if I smash a pot, they're gonna... Is there a way to like run and gun? So like, I run into the shop with the chickens strapped to my fist, and I just punch a pot, I grab the money.
I throw it on the ground now!
Tactical cuckoo inbound.
Get down! Just throws a chicken over the counter.
Cool guys don't look at chickens. As yeah, just the chickens descend on this poor pottery shop. Oh god, that would just be chaos. There'd be so much everything. just chaos, feathers, shit, you know. Anyway, my hatred of pottery aside, okay, I've got like some money. I've bullied a child.
Yeah.
And I've got chickens as boxing gloves. So my day is going well so far. Where do I head to next? Because I feel as if I'm quite ready. Maybe not to take on Ganondorf, but I'm ready. I'm ready to do some adventuring. So where am I off to?
Okay, well, if we're in Breath of the Wild, then you can head in any given direction, really. I mean, Hyrule Castle is just destroyed, so I don't know where you've started from in that instance, but if you're feeling ballsy, you could try and take on a little encampment of bokoblins, all kind of chilling, or you could try and take on a Hinox, which is essentially a Cyclops just walking around.
Oh, that can only end well.
Yes, exactly. And then like there's a bunch of other weird kind of creatures. There's one that is a giant rock monster whose name is escaping me, that essentially you have to climb on the back of and whack like a diamond to destroy it, and you get a bunch of like precious gems from that.
Was that not a Rihanna song?
What, Shine Bright Like a Diamond?
Whack his back like a diamond, yeah. Sorry, continue.
And then there are these like centaur, lion kind of creatures. There's these Lionels that roam the land, which are, I think, can be argued the most difficult non-boss enemies in the game. They are so tricky to defeat. If anyone was to come across them, then they'd be screwed. Or there is the Guardians, which you have come across during your brief playthrough of Breath of the Wild. I don't know if you recall the Guardians walking around with those giant like spider robot things.
Oh, I do. They were absolutely terrifying, especially with the theme music, which I like to think is like built into them with wee like mini speakers.
It's not the best plan for their stealth purposes, but yeah, you do hear essentially death music when they're after you. Some sort of like laser guided, like a sniper kind of red dot on you. And so yeah, if you see that, then you're probably dead. There's not really going to be much escaping that, because one shot generally will kill you. If you have enough hearts, which I don't know how the average person would increase their heart numbers, because essentially it's just increasing your life force, and like in what capacity would anyone else be able to do that? In Breath of the Wild, you do that by going through shrines and getting these like heart container orb things you can like exchange for hearts or stamina. In other games, you can get like pieces of hearts from random tasks or defeating a boss. Neither of those really seem like something that your average Joe will be able to obtain, so you're probably going to be stuck on 3 hearts, in which case just literally anyone just like punching you in the face would just lay you dead.
So like real life then.
Your average person's going to get like a continue screen.
Imagine you do get punched though, and every time you do get knocked out or whatever, you end up transferring yourself from Zelda universe to Zelda universe, because as you alluded to at the very beginning of this episode, there are hundreds of places you could go. If you ended up waking up in the like CDI universe, I think I would knock myself out.
I don't think I'd press continue when after I got punched, if that was the case.
Are you sure you want to continue? No. But yeah, let's say you punch yourself like after you realise you're in the CDI universe, and then can you imagine like how jarring it would be going from something like Breath of the Wild to like Majora's Mask? You're like, oh, why is it so dark? And then you look up and there's a goddamn moon smiling at you.
Yeah, that whole game I think is some sort of like metaphor for dealing with grief. I know that's a kind of overstated idea, and I think it's been denied. I think the creators have said that's not the case, but I mean, like,
that's the first stage of grief.
Yeah, my whole my whole headcanon is that's the case, that it's just a metaphor for stages of grief and dealing with. I think it's supposed to be the passing of Navi, the fairy, that Link is dealing with the grief of, or his own death. I think it's kind of varies from theory to theory, but that's just a theory, a Chatsu theory.
Thanks for listening. If you would like to listen to more of our content. Okay, so I punched myself in the face again. Because this is clearly how I'm getting around.
You drop a bomb directly in front of you.
I'm just wondering if the chickens come with me, or like in another universe, there's just a dead me with chickens on my hand.
Or just a suicide pact with the chickens.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's say, like, I was going to say, let's say I wake up in the Wind Waker universe, but then I would just instantly drown. Yeah, let's say, hypothetically, I punched myself so many times that I managed to land on the boat and knock Link out of it. Just that mental image of falling from the sky and knocking a mute child into the water, which seems to be a running theme in this episode. But yeah, where would I go in Wind Waker then if I had to get back to dry land and to try and get my bearings, as it were?
Well, I mean, there's several little islands kind of dotted around. Like, you might encounter your main... I can never remember. It's been a while since I played Wind Waker. I can never remember the name of the island you start on, which is quite idyllic, really. It's a lovely little kind of paradise island. But yeah, so that would be a nice little sort of stop off there. But you could also find yourself in some horrendous plant island, which just has these giant Venus flytraps, which are trying to eat you at every opportunity.
Well, that's delightful.
Yeah, or you could find yourself at this volcano island, which just has a giant angry dragon at the top of it that's just got its tail stuck, which, I mean, where have I heard that one before?
So what you're saying is tourism is not booming in a lot of these islands?
No, there's no sandals resorts in the Wind Waker universe. There should be. I think there's a market for it. I mean, you can certainly rake in the rupees if you had the right kind of island resort. But essentially the world has been flooded. I don't quite know if these islands were all the top of mountains at various points, and that's how they still exist. But yes, there are these different things. And there's also a metal fort, which is Ganondorf's secret compound, which isn't very secret. I guess it's not a secret compound. Yeah, it's Ganondorf's compound, which just has floodlights just everywhere. And if you get spotted, then you immediately get thrown into a jail cell. It's the easiest to escape jail cell in the world, though.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. I totally didn't get caught in that level. Terrible weather we're having.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does stick out like a sore thumb.
I can just imagine you sort of in jail with your ocarina, a harmonica, just playing it.
Yeah, licking my harmonica.
Yeah, you're
licking my
your
ocarina.
harmonica. The jail has just been what's wrong with him?
So, see if I... can't believe I'm muttering this sentence. See if I lick my ocarina hard enough, does that mean I travel back in time to a point where this wasn't a prison and then I could escape?
If you have a magical ocarina...
Yes.
Stay with me. If you have a magical ocarina, then you could potentially travel back in time with different songs. And different games have different variations of it. In Majora's Mask, you can travel back 3 days, or you could accelerate time so that 3 days passes sooner. In Ocarina of Time, I can't remember, you can't travel in time with your ocarina. It can take you to the Temple of Time, where you can then place a sword or pull out a sword, and that will trigger a time travel sequence, from what I remember. So, I mean, it's kind of lying in the name of that game, really, isn't it? Because the ocarina itself doesn't travel you through time.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. If I'm wrong, I'll be very mad at myself, but I'm pretty sure the ocarina doesn't actually cause time to change.
Why is it? Why is it called the Ocarina of Time then?
Well, I mean, you can change it from day to night, I guess. So I guess that is time travel in a way.
I can do that by sleeping.
I mean...
Just close my eyes and wake up and be like, oh, it's nighttime, I time travel. I'm going to look that up just as we are. Sorry, please continue. I'm going to look that up because what's the point of the ocarina then?
Well, I mean, it can do some pretty nifty things. I mean, it can make it rain. It can make it stop raining. It can open secret doors. In Majora's Mask, you can ease the dead sorrows and transport yourself. No, that's you put on the mask to do that. I was gonna say you can turn into creatures, but you have to put on a mask to do that. Remove objects, which are very specifically put there by the royal family.
This is the worst magical item I think I've ever heard. So I'm looking it up now, and yeah, you're right. Everyone's saying, oh, it's when you lift the Master Sword and place it back, it causes Link's consciousness to time travel?
Yes.
So the ocarina does bugger all except change the weather and buggers up someone's feng shui in their room.
Yeah, I mean, your average Joe would not find much use in the ocarina unless you need access through to Zora's domain through a waterfall.
I mean, we all do at some point in our lives.
Yeah, the song parts that for you to allow you to jump through the waterfall and opens up a door in the Goron city. It allows you to teleport under certain circumstances, but otherwise, no. Your average Joe probably would never have any use for the Ocarina of Time. It just doesn't really make sense for them.
I'm just imagining the Zelda version of Christmas where a young child gets the ocarina from Ocarina of Time and he's just oh man, another ocarina. He just throws it and there's just a whole bunch of them
There's
in
a
the
pile
corner.
of them.
Yeah. Huh, I actually didn't know that. Thank you for enlightening me on that. That was,
If you take nothing else from this this episode, then that's it. The game is a lie.
So is this like the Kane from Citizen Kane? You know, there's no...
I wouldn't know.
Wait a minute, that ocarina doesn't go through time at all. To be honest, do you think ocarinas, like, and this is going off topic slightly, but do you think ocarina sales went up after Ocarina of Time?
Or just because they were like, oh, the Hero of Time used one, like, get one now. And like this ocarina salesman's just like raking it in.
My God, I want to know the life of that guy. The guy with like the trench coat being like, hey kid, you want to buy an ocarina? It turns off the weather. It's like, no,
You'll
I'm
never
good.
need a watch again.
I can just imagine how this transaction would go, where the person goes up and wants to buy the ocarina, is like, oh, what's so special? It's like, oh, it makes you travel through time. So when you play it, it turns from day to night. So, of course, it's daytime, the guy plays it, and then he's like, it's still daytime. So the salesman just grabs it and just smacks it over his head, knocks him unconscious till he wakes up at nighttime. And he's like, wow, it really works.
Just throws a blanket over his head and it's dark now.
Yeah, he's like, wow, the future is amazing. Okay, so don't buy an ocarina in this universe.
Yeah,
Okay.
waste of money.
So we've really avoided I was going to say the elephant, but it's more like a giant pig in the room. That, of course, being Ganondorf, the big bad, basically the big cheese of this universe that is the final boss. Is there any way of avoiding him? Or is his calamities and his shenanigans always going to catch up with you if you're the average Joe?
Well, I mean, in Ocarina of Time, everyone kind of turns into a zombie. So for the people of Hyrule they're kind of screwed. Other people can kind of stay away from his issues. I mean, in Breath of the Wild, Hyrule Castle has been destroyed. Any residents who were once there are no longer there. But there's a bunch of like surrounding towns where people just kind of seem to be going about their lives. They don't seem super concerned by the giant malice that has been encompassing the world for 100 years. So it's one of those things. It's like living through just a dystopia where you don't really know anything different. So I guess like people have kind of just used to like, oh, I guess the flying demon bats are back. Close your windows tonight, guys.
Do they even have windows?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they live in like castle-y places, do they not? And
Well,
I'm not trying to
not all of them.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that was very stereotyping Hyruleans.
It is. I was pretty upset there, to be honest. I think there will be a public apology coming, folks. Don't you worry.
Yes, I'll have to do the big sigh and go. I didn't want to make this episode, but I'm gonna have to apologise to all the Highlands out there that were offended.
I didn't want to have to make this episode. It sounds like the most insincere apology.
Well, that's how they all start, isn't
You
it?
fuckers. I didn't want to have to do this, but I had to.
You fuckers, I had to get out of my bed, play my ocarina so it was morning. Turn off the rain. Oh no, sorry, put on the rain so, it was more atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I'm also sorry to the royal family because when I played a wrong note in the ocarina, your furniture may have disappeared. So I apologise if you were sleeping on that bed because you're not sleeping on it anymore. Anyway, so that's in the next public apology video.
The regal apology video.
But it would seem like an utter nightmare. The only place I can think of off the top of my head is it Outset Island in Wind Waker?
Yes, that is what it's called.
Yeah, that seems to be, other than, the obvious, like, ridge over the horizon, that seems a relatively comfy place. Even though the world's been drowned, don't get me wrong, that's a bit of a bummer.
It's not a very creative name, is it? Because it's like the outset of your journey, I guess.
I was going to say it's like Pallet Town, but no, even Pallet Town's more creative than, Outset Island. That's like Starter Village or Here We Go Land.
Tutorial Town.
I would play a game with that. What can I say? I'm a sucker for alliteration. That's one of my kryptonites, I must say.
Yeah, I can only assume in Japanese it sounds a lot better.
Yeah, it does seem like that, doesn't it? Where we're like, haha, Outset Island, and it's it's like, one of those memes where it's like, yes, in the Japanese version, it's, a very reverent name.
Very poetic.
Yeah, it's poetic, it encapsulates the culture, the society, the idea of growing from a boy to a man and all of this. And then the English stuff is like, we're Outside Island. Like, I don't know that for a fact that it's better than the Japanese one, but yeah, it's just a funny thing to think of. They're just like, yeah, can you imagine if it was just like an intern calling it that? They were just like, hey Jim, we need a name for this. Just call it Outside Island. It's like, are you sure? No one's going to care. It's a Zelda game.
We need to think of a name, something like Outset Island, but not so corny.
Happy Outset Island. I mean, that place seems comfy. From what I know of it, in Skyward Sword, there's quite a comfy island. Well, I say island. I mean, like a rock in the sky.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm so bad at remembering the names of the places. I'm looking
You
at
call
now.
yourself a fan. You can't hear it right now, but I am tutting to the maximum. I'm going,
Skyloft. It's lofty and in the sky.
I thought it was like an attic, like a loft.
Yeah, it's where Hyrule like puts its like Christmas decorations.
Well, considering the reception Skyward Sword got, I can see why.
Yeah, unlike Christmas decorations, the reception was not glowing.
It was not holly jolly or very festive, I will say that.
I started playing that again actually because I got given the game as a Christmas present. They did the remake for the Switch, and yeah, like it's not terrible. It doesn't meet the high standards that other Zelda games have set, especially the likes of like I adored Twilight Princess, and obviously Breath of the Wild was fantastic, the game that followed Skyward Sword. So Skyward Sword is a bit like of the stepchild of the franchise, where it just is not as interesting, and it's very repetitive as well. You're having to go to the same places over and over again, and the hub world of Skyloft isn't very interesting. So it's certainly not as fun, Skyward Sword, but I'm sure if you were actually living in Skyloft and you got like your sick kind of bird pal that you could fly around on, that'd be pretty fun.
And how does one acquire a sick bird pal? Do you just go up to them and be like, yo, what's up?
You know, in Avatar, the James Cameron movie, when you have to like bond with them and like wrestle them.
Look, for the last time, Andrew, I'm not growing a ponytail and whipping a bird with it. No, it's not going to happen.
I can only assume it's something like that, but no, it seems to be one of those things where you think you like grow up with the bird, and you kind of just have like some alignment with the bird.
So what you're saying is, like, I can't jump on it mid-air and then the bird panics because I'm too heavy for it, but it's like a fly or die scenario for the bird.
Yeah, I don't know what the bird would do in that situation. I mean, if you're jumping on its back, it might just be like, well, I guess this is me now, I'm just dead.
Well, I should have seen this coming. This is the one thing we didn't want to happen. Kind of as like a summary, because we've talked about the economy, as it were. We've talked about the Highlands not having windows. We've talked about basically having to live with the idea, even as a tourist, that Ganon is going to wreck shit. That's just an inevitability at this point. So where would you say the quote-unquote safest place would be in the Zelda universe?
The safest place is probably Skyloft. I don't think there's anything bad that really happens up there. At one point, it does fall from the sky, but stay with me.
Just falls from the sky. Okay.
Well, not all of it does. Only the temple bit of it falls from the sky down to earth. The rest of it, I think, stays up there. The whole idea is like there's like a cloud layer, and like everyone up there believes there's nothing below the clouds. That it's just emptiness, and you just die if you go down there. And so the clouds at the end of the game, spoilers, the clouds part, and like the people fly down on their bird pals to experience the this new world that they've kind of rediscovered. So I think generally that's the safest place to be. I mean, there's certainly areas of Breath of the Wild which seem pretty relaxing, pretty fun. There's nothing really bad that happens in like Kakariko Village in Breath of the Wild, at least. In Ocarina of Time, it gets pretty screwed up, and in Twilight Princess, it gets overrun and becomes like a Western bandito town kind of thing. But in Breath of the Wild, I would say either Kakariko Village or maybe like there's like a beach area whose name I can never remember, where like it's essentially just very tropical, and I feel like that'd probably be a pretty sick place to be living in, because they just essentially are always just eating like fish and just chilling by the beach. So I think that's probably the best place.
So what you're saying is, well, as an average Joe / adventurer / traveller / boxer of chickens, we'll never be able to do anything exciting like meet the royal family or anything like that.
They're either trapped in some sort of gemstone or put in some kind of sleep, or like possessed by the Demon Kings. There's never really anything going well for the royal family in the game.
Well, I mean, considering you keep playing your ocarina and removing their furniture.
Yeah, they don't stay royal for long. It's very Viva la Revolution in the Zelda game.
I mean, you've got the Traveller who turns out to be the king. You've got Bubble Grandpa, which still kills me to this day. That, of course, was when you and I were playing through Wind Waker for the first time, and you find out that, is it the boat is the king.
Yeah, the boat you've been riding on is the royal family. So, I mean, there's always the chance that you'll hop on board the next ferry and turns out you're actually riding royalty.
Am I going to hop on like the Zelda bus or the Zelda spirit train and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, it was like a cousin of the royal family or something?
I've not played that game, but that would be very funny if it turned out that the train itself was just Uncle Daryl.
It's like the Anastasia of that world. I escaped being killed, but I got turned into a train. It's like, how? On a scale of 1 to how, please tell me how this happened. So we've basically got Pixar tier royal families. Is that what you're saying?
What, in that the parents always die?
Well, no, I was making a comparison to like cars or planes.
Oh, right.
Way to bring down the mood, Andrew. Jeez.
Yeah, you've got some like Transformers-esque royal family.
Oh my god. Royals in disguise.
Yeah, King Optimus Prime.
I mean, I would play that game. I'm not going to lie, I would play that.
Lord Bumblebee.
Well, can you imagine going to Hyrule and, going through the castle, you sneak through the guards, and it is literally just a Transformer waiting for you, instead of Princess Zelda.
Still wearing that Zelda-like dress.
No, 100%. They've had to tailor make her so it fits on. I didn't even know there was that much material in Hyrule. There isn't. We had to invade several other countries just to get the material.
Roll out.
We're all out, exactly.
Got the Gorons all sort of rolling away.
Either that or she's got a chicken dress. Don't pretend you wouldn't want to see that. Come on. Come on.
Oh dear.
See, on a scale of 1 to absolutely batshit insane, how likely is it that the average Joe is going to quote a very famous character, to meet with a terrible fate?
Pretty likely that your average Joe in his other world will just meet with a terrible fate. But, I mean, it is video game logic and it is a children's game, ultimately. So, like, often even those you encounter in, like, Breath of the Wild out in the street, like, if they got knocked out, they're just kind of, like, dizzy on the ground. Like, they don't actually die. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like anyone, quote-unquote, meets the terrible fate. I mean, because when Link gets hurt too much and then, like, quote-unquote, dies, it could be interpreted that he actually just passes out and then you're back up to be like, hey, I'm at it again. So maybe that's what happens to everyone else. Maybe everyone else just like passes out, gets back up, and just like, ugh, this happens so often. This is so frustrating, but here I am dealing with this weird goblin demon world, trying to make my life as a door-to-door pottery salesman a reality.
I just want to see that on a t-shirt. I can't stand this weird goblin world. Just with the Triforce underneath it with a sad face. Yeah, but then again, it's like, you never really think, and again, this is a huge problem with all games, but you never really think / care about the NPCs, if that makes sense. If, Link dies, obviously he has to come back, he's the hero of time and everything, but if, like, average Joe, the pottery salesman, hypothetically, gets bludgeoned to death by a sea of chickens, It's like, is it the chickens that are puppeteering his dead body, being like, I'm okay?
Well, no chicken can seemingly die. So there would be a huge issue with like chicken populations going like rampant, and like no one would have chicken nuggets just ever. I mean, that's just a sad, sad world, really. So I mean, that's probably the darkest aspect that we've discussed today.
So in summary, no chicken nuggets.
No chicken nuggets.
I don't want to live in this hell world, goblin infested hellscape.
This chicken nuggetless goblin world.
As opposed to a world like Pokemon where it's heavily implied you eat these animals. Yeah, no. I'm sure it's fine. There's not a lot of vegetarians in the Pokemon world, which I get. And kind of one last point, but is there not like a cooking mechanic in Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, I was actually just about to bring that up, because I mean, there are other birds you can shoot down and eat. So there's variations of different poultry you can have, but just cuckoos are off the menu.
Looks like cuckoos are back on the menu, boys.
Yeah, so no, they're not. They're very much not. You're not allowed to eat cuckoos, but like almost everything else is game. Other than like maybe like horses and like cows. No, that's not true. You can kill a bull and eat a bull, so I guess that counts. But like, yeah, you can hunt goats, as you encountered when you got attacked by a goat that one time.
Oh yeah, of course. I keep forgetting about that goat. Every time like I bring up Zelda, I'm like, what a child-friendly game with no inconveniences. You get headbutted by a goat and you're like, oh yeah. Can you actually kill the goat?
Yeah, you can take its meat, cook it.
Here's the very morbid question. What if you were hungry and you ended up upon Lon Lon Ranch? Hypothetically.
Well, you seemingly can't attack any of the horses or cows there, and God help you if you try to attack the chickens. But there is plenty of milk for you to enjoy. Lon Lon milk, which seems to have some sort of alcoholic property, because in Majora's Mask, there is a scene where two sisters are like hugging each other and grieving, and you find out that like one of the sisters, the little sister, is going to be allowed to drink this like special Lon Lon milk today, and it kind of is inferred that it'll have some sort of numbing property, so that when the moon eventually like crashes into the earth and like kills them, that she won't be scared and won't feel anything. And so there seems to be some sort of interesting property to Lon Lon milk, at least in the Majora's Mask universe, which is Termina, not Hyrule.
Imagine putting that in the advertising. Are you afraid of death? Drink a Lon Lon milk. You'll forget all about it.
Well, I mean, they used to call opium milk of the poppy, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, but you don't get milk of the poppy from a cow, surely.
You do if it's a cow called Poppy.
I knew that was coming. Oh, yeah, okay, you got me there. Yeah, it seems like quite a brutal world. Is there any way to survive, or do I just have to keep playing my ocarina to, at most, get people wet? You know, like that Livin' La Vida Loca song, where it's just play it.
Yeah, just constantly. Yeah, I think you're kind of just like sitting there just praying that some magical elf boy will stop his like 13th quest to find the missing acorn and instead try and defeat the King of Evil.
Because can you imagine the awkwardness of having to go to his village, the one in Ocarina of Time? You know, you march there and it's like Will Ferrell and Elf. It's just like the tall guy and the rest are just the really short elves. So it's like, okay, where's Link? Come on, enough of this nonsense, get out your bed. Instead of Navi waking you up gently, it's just like this face pressed against the window. It's just like, Link, do you believe in fairies?
Well, you might encounter Tingle in each incarnation of the Zelda world, who is convinced that he is a fairy himself, and that's terrifying enough.
So is Tingle part of that village?
No, Tingle is a Hylian who desperately wants to be a fairy and is convinced that he is a fairy, and so acts in that way and dresses in that way in the belief that that is how fairies, or like children of the fairy village or whatever it is, act. It's essentially a very confused gentleman.
My question really is, A, where does he live? And B, how can I throw as many chickens in there as possible to get rid of him?
I don't really have an answer for the latter, unfortunately. The former, it depends from game to game. In Wind Waker, I think you might recall, he has like a watchtower that like he and his siblings, I think, all like work at, and like he like deciphers maps, and like you get into like debt with Tingle to buy these various maps to map out this like water world. It's a pretty frightening thought to be in debt to what is like essentially a fairy like loan shark.
Is that not where the memes come from, though? The Tingle's gonna break your kneecaps?
I don't think it's a meme. I think that's just something we came up with.
Oh, that has to be the quote of the episode. It's not a meme. It's real life. His crippling dead. Tom Nook has nothing on Tingle.
You'd pray for Tom Nook.
Gonna make Tom Nook look like Professor Oak. Oh my god, that's horrifying. So, does he have any powers? Or, like, has he just got a sledgehammer?
His power is leveraging you against your debt.
Basically what you're saying is, everything you've said before about worrying about the moon falling on you, getting drunk off of milk, the spiders, Ganon, everything, the world ending, I don't have to care about that. I just have to care about locking my doors before Tingle comes and kicks them down.
Yeah, he's essentially the Krampus of the world. It's my own headcanon.
Is it the Krampus or the Beetlejuice? Like, say if you say his name 3 times in a mirror.
Oh, I'm not going to.
No, please don't, because I don't want to read on the news, Canadian man bet to death by man who calls himself a fairy.
By his own arm.
Exactly. Oh, Jesus. He would as well. I bet you he was the first person to get, like, the skeleton goblin arm and just be like, haha, I can use this as a weapon. And everyone's like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you, Tingle?
There's different skeletal versions as well, because there's the skeleton version of the bokoblin, and there's a skeleton version of the moblin, which essentially is like lanky bokoblins. And then there's also a skeletal version of the Lizalfos, which essentially is like lizard monsters. And the fun thing with those is if you take the arm of a Lizalfo, it's like bent in a weird angle, and so it's essentially a boomerang. So you can like throw it and it'll come back to you.
Joe, I completely forgot all about those lizard people.
I don't know, you would have even gotten far enough to play against them.
I didn't, but I remember you were playing Ocarina of Time and you got to them. You did what I couldn't, so thank you. I just remember they were like really hard to defeat because, you know, they kept jumping back and forward. Is that the right ones? I'm thinking though.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do exist in Ocarina of Time. They're not very commonly found there. Same in Twilight Princess, they're not super common. But in Breath of the Wild, they are very common. They are very fast, which makes them quite tricky to fight against. And they're very good in the water. And so, like, they can swim super fast and they like launch themselves out of the water and they can like fire water blasts at you, which will hurt you. Essentially just like spit water at you. So yeah, they're a pain in the ass, essentially.
So what you're saying is they like to LARP as Pokemon at times?
Yes, they are essentially Pokemon. There's different like versions of them because you can get like ice ones and you can get like fire ones, which will like breathe fire on you. So like there's weird different variations, and some of them use like camouflage. So you can be like just like walking down the street and then it'll like jump out and be like, surprise, bitch.
So what you're saying is it's like Pokemon meets a New York street gang, essentially, with elemental powers.
Yeah, they're always just like clicking their fingers, just like as they like approach you.
You walked into the wrong neighborhood. It's like, oh no, please. As Mr. Tingle's like closely behind. Is it Mr. Tingle or is it just Tingle?
I think it's just Tingle.
Is this like a, please, Mr. Tingle was my father. Call me Tingle. As he goes to break your kneecaps, you know, you're like, oh, Jesus. Is there anything else, before we wrap up, is there anything else that I should know about this world before packing my bags as quickly as possible and getting the hell out of here?
Yeah, I mean, there may be areas of games that I have not played that would make a suitable, livable environment for your average folk. But I don't think that there's much cause to want to live in the world of Zelda. It would be very cool to visit. I think it would be very, very fun to sort of be in that world, and I want to be in that world. But like, I don't think there's much cause to live there. I think I'd much rather live in the Pokemon world than the Zelda world.
Oh, we've got a whole episode on why you shouldn't do that.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know where I'll start from then.
I mean, you could do, but you're going to have to beat up a lot of children and fight a lot of gods, fight a lot of aliens.
When is the negatives coming in?
God damn it, Andrew. So, yeah, let's pack our bags. Yeah, because the only thing I can think of that we haven't mentioned is, I can't remember if it is Bokoblins or it's like a variation of them, and if it's not Bokoblins, so it's something else in I think it's the Famicom version of the very first Zelda game, where you had to like shout into the mic on the controller.
Yeah.
But obviously they don't have a microphone in the NES controller, so they kept it in the manual saying that these types of monsters hated loud noises and that was the reason why. But I'm just thinking, can you imagine waking up every morning, seeing them outside and just having to yell to get them to bugger off?
That happens in the wild. Like, I mean, there's certain like animals that you just need to like shout at because they will otherwise will intrude on your property. Especially over here in Canada, there's a few you'll have to do that too.
Just leaning out your window going, I'm on the night shift, get away.
Piss off.
Piss off. And they just like, oh sorry, don't mean to.
It's like Octorok is like, wow, what an asshole.
What's a Dodongo before we finish? Because I had brief flashbacks to Zelda CDI there, and I just remember
Still bomb some Dodongos.
Dodongos? What is a Dodongo? Should I be concerned?
A Dodongo is like a big lizard that like shoots out fire out of its mouth and has like a weak spot at like its tail, or sometimes the weak spot is bomb related. In Ocarina of Time, in the Goron temple, you fight against King Dodongo, who's just a giant version of that, and you defeat him by throwing a bomb into his mouth when he's about to fire some like fire breath. So yeah, a Dodongo is a big lizard that shoots fire and has a tail weak spot, or its weak spot is bombs, which like, I mean, I think that's most things' weak spots.
Well, I mean, yeah, not to put a dampener on it, but I feel as if a bomb is a pretty effective means of defeating any video game boss, or yeah, just in general. Yeah, so I'll add that to the list then. So what you're saying is the real weakness was the friends we made along the way and the Dodongos we bombed along the way.
Bombs, on the other hand, actually are not that hard to acquire. If you're in Twilight Princess, there's a specific bombs store where a guy like specializes in bombs. So like, I don't know how many people are buying bombs that like it's a thriving business that he has, but maybe that is what the majority of people use on a day-to-day basis to defend themselves.
So what you're telling me is that you can't defend yourselves with like a shield, with anything, a sword, an axe, nothing. They don't sell it, but they're like, oh yeah, bombs, here you go.
Pretty much, yes.
And on that note, Do you think this is a appropriate place just to end the episode? Because I feel as if this is a world we do not want to live in. Before we finish up, do you think that people should live in the Legend of Zelda world?
No.
Good talk. Thank you. No, I totally agree. Obviously, in the last episode that we did, I made the argument of not living in the Pokemon world. And obviously, that's because of superpowered monsters, criminal organizations, that kind of thing. But it really doesn't seem as if Zelda's any better, I have to say.
One of the other issues, I mean, it's a fantasy world. There's not really advanced plumbing or medicine in place yet.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you're just probably going to die of like dysentery at some point.
What a boring way to die in Legends of Zelda.
The continue screen comes up because Link drank from the wrong river.
Yeah, it's like Oregon Trail X Legend of Zelda collab. It's like the collab we've all been waiting for, where Link gets dysentery. This world gets darker and darker. Can you imagine healthcare in this universe?
Well, I mean, the healthcare I can only assume is just potion based, or like a fairy in a bottle you can get. So like that seems to heal you no matter what. So I guess universal healthcare just involves trapping fairies.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Do you have to get like a healthcare plan where it's like, oh, do you have enough hearts to like extend your life? No? Oh well, then there's nothing we can do. Just go to this cave and go get them yourself. Well, why don't you get them? And it's like, sir, the only thing they sell in this village is bombs. I do not want to run across this dusty ass field. It's filled with zombies, skeletons.
The insurance premium is just ridiculous.
Exactly. And you know who runs it? Tingle.
True. He's got his fingers in a lot of pies.
They call him the Wall Street Baker. Yeah, because he collects. That's all I'll say. He collects rupees, he collects kneecaps, He's a very varied individual, is what I'm saying. So basically, the economy, shambles. Healthcare, shambles. Actually defending yourself, shambles. The whole Ganondorf in power, shambles. And yeah, the royal family not doing anything because they're trapped in bubbles or they decided to cosplay as boats. It would have been more funny if the boat opened up and the king was inside the boat the entire time. Like, can you imagine that reveal where it was like, Link, I've been under the floorboard this entire time.
Yeah, he isn't the boat himself. He's just like in a compartment of the boat, and he's just been really stinky and staying in a box.
Link, let me out. Okay, boat, we're going on an adventure. No, you don't understand. I've been kidnapped. It's the thought of like the boat listing, to one side. He's a chunky king. That's all I'm saying. He would definitely, it would be like, speedboats.
I'm aware.
When you drive one of them and it's like the top kind of lifts up because the engine's on the back.
Yes.
It's a bit like that, but with Zelda, with the boat. I can still hear the king to this day. I'm still under the boat. I can still hear it. Never buy a boat in Zelda. That's basically the final moral of the story.
Yeah, it might transform and just walk out on you.
Just like my last boat. And on that very depressing note, Andrew, thank you so much for joining me in this episode and giving your Zelda expertise. That was very insightful.
Thank you for having me. It was good fun. I enjoyed this discussion and kind of realization of, I probably do not want to live in the Zelda world.
That's how I felt with Pokemon. The more and more I talked about it, the more I thought, Jesus, this is horrific.
I would still live there.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. You would live there until you saw the Beedrills. And then, again, going back to Wicker Man, you'd be like, not the Beedrills. They're in my eyes. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening to this episode. If you would like to live in the Zelda world or the universe as a whole, feel free to drop us a message and let us know what your thoughts are, because personally, as you heard, we are probably not the biggest of fans of this world, but let us know.
If you are interested in seeing Satsunami's reaction to more Legend of Zelda content, we do have a Let's Play channel that we've not added to in a long time, but there's content there for several episodes of our Breath of the Wild playthrough.
That's true. If you go over to the Satsunami 42 YouTube channel, then you can check me basically getting hit by goats, getting bodied by the ancient sculptures and things, falling off of roofs. It's a great time. It's family friendly is what I'd say. No swearing, no anger issues, just me getting my ass kicked 1010%. And for legal reasons, that was a joke. No, I'd agree with that. Definitely go check that out. Andrew, before we finish up, where can these lovely listeners at home find some of your content?
Well, I have been streaming occasionally, more recently on my Twitch channel, GreenShield95. You can also find me on Twitter, that same Twitter handle. And where can the fine folks find your content, Satsunami?
Well, I'm glad you asked, GreenShield95. So you can find more of our episodes on podpage.com/Chatsunami. If you want to check out more of our content on gaming, films, anime, Andrew and I, of course, run a fantastic sub-series called Chatsunami, where we dive into the weird and wonderful world of anime. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, please feel free to check that.
The weeb and wonderful.
I wish I had said that now. Thank you. So, yeah, if you're into that, then definitely go check it out. You can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, and really any good podcast app. Just look for the name Chatsunami, and we'll see you there. But until then, thank you all so much for listening. Stay safe, stay awesome, stay hydrated, and most importantly,
It's dangerous to go alone, take this.
well, I was going to say that, and please, for the love of God, stop playing your ocarina. It is raining so heavily outside.
That's just Scotland.
I say stay hydrated, but I don't mean that hydrated. Jesus.